sharing with you 7 very pivotal differences between good leadership and bad leadership. This will blow your mind. The first difference is this. Influence for good leadership influences people by persuasion and inspiration, while a bad leadership makes others comply by force. That is, when you see a bad leader at work, he's not trying to get your opinion, he's not trying to inspire you, he's not trying to make you want to do what he says for you to do. He wants you to just do it whether you like it or not. That is, he's going to threaten you with a sack, he's going to threaten you with a query, he's going to threaten you with everything he needs to threaten you with, sometimes with even death. For those who obviously have that, military background, who can just throw threats at people, they literally just go ahead and throw all the threats at you just to make you comply to one of their demands. But that's not what a good leader does. A good leader influences people by persuasion and by inspiration. The second thing is that a good leader develops a vision to better others. A bad leader creates an ambition to enrich himself. When you see a good leader at work, it's all about the people. It's all about the people. It's all about the people. For a bad leader, it's all about him. It's all about him. It's all about his selfish ambitions. And so with the way the vision is communicated, with the way the resources are deployed to get the people to achieve the goal or objective, you can see if the way he's getting to do that particular, endeavor is more to enrich himself or to better others. And so by the time you see, all right, with your intuition, the way a leader is going about is achievement of the set objectives, you can tell if this leader is a good leader or a bad leader by whether or not the goal is enriching him alone or bettering the lives of others. The third difference is that good leadership responds to situations intelligently. Bad leadership reacts to situations emotionally. All right, we're all emotional beings and that's fine, but when it comes to leadership, you cannot afford to be overly emotional about situations, because as a leader, you will deal with a lot of emergency situations, you deal with a lot of complex, complicated situations here and there, conflicts as a matter of fact. And if you're the kind of person that doesn't know how to internalize the pressure and seek a way of approach that is critical and that is, geared towards problem solving, then you're not going to be a very effective leader, because you would be overly emotional about things. You make decisions too brashly, too harshly, too quickly, too in a hurry, and then you will make a lot of errors that you will still have to come back to try and readdress. And so a good leader does not react to situations emotionally. He responds to situations intelligently. And one of the ways he does that is by giving himself some time to ruminate over a situation before giving a response. And so it's important that you understand that this is a major difference between a good leader and a bad leader. A good leader loves people genuinely. And this is the fourth difference between a good leader and a bad leader. A bad leader uses people strategically. So he's having a political ambition and he needs people to do his dirty jobs for him. So he gets to oil your fingers with some hundreds of thousands of naira, and then he gets you to do what you need to do. And if you die in the process, he really doesn't care. As long as his name is preserved, as long as his reputation is intact. And so it's fine. And that's why sometimes people do not have a lot of trust for the politicians in our system or in our society, because it looks like they just really use the people that they need for the time that they need them for, and they don't have genuine concern about the affairs and the welfare of these people. But a good leader is not so much about himself, like we had earlier established. He genuinely cares about his people. Mahatma Gandhi has this very interesting story about him, how that, India was at war with another nation, and then he was tired of hearing the bomb blasts and all the Indian people dying here and there. And Mahatma Gandhi told the elders, or rather the national leaders of the state of India at the time, and told them that if he hears another, bomb, sound anywhere, he said he will not eat for the next so number of days. And because of that, he literally threatened the leaders of his nation that he was going to stop eating if they don't stop the war that they had embarked upon. That was the strength of his leadership. That was the strength of his person. That because of Mahatma Gandhi's welfare, the war had to stop. That's because the entire nation of India already understood that Mahatma Gandhi was not someone who always pursued his own selfish ambitions. He genuinely cared for the people of India. And because of that, they could follow him even till death. Until today, he's a major icon in their history, and he's someone that they do not joke with, even now that he's passed. All right. And so it's important that you understand that as a good leader, you cannot afford to only be concerned about an office, about a role, about money, about benefits. You have to genuinely love people beyond roles, beyond advantages that benefit you. You have to genuinely be concerned about other people. That is one of the differences between a good leadership and a bad leadership. The next one, number 5, is that a good leader is assertive but willing to learn from others. A bad leader is ignorant of his ignorance and he belittles others. A good leader understands, just like we have learned in collaboration, that there is something good in someone. There is something someone brings to the table. And so he is not the custodian of every idea that makes sense, all right? And so he is willing to adjust. He's willing to seek the opinions of others. Perhaps it would help, address some of the loopholes and blind sides in his own vision. And so he's open to feedback, he's open to communication, he's open to receive the opinions of others. Even though he's assertive, he knows what he wants to achieve. He knows how to communicate exactly what he wants. But you see, he still respects others in the bid of getting people to achieve a set objective. For a bad leader, he really doesn't care who knows what. And the funny thing is, when you don't care what someone knows about the vision that you are trying to achieve, and if they know something that could save you millions, all right, or make you millions, they would not tell you either, because you see, they know that you will not even listen to them. You will not pay attention to their opinions because you are such a leader who is ignorant of your own ignorance and you belittle the opinions of others. How you attend to people's opinions is how much respect you pay them. And so it's important that you pay attention to the opinions of those that you lead so that you can take out the good in it and improve your vision with it. There is a parable, or rather an adage in the local parlance, that says that the leader of any team or any group of elders doesn't really know more than the elders that he has gathered around. He just simply hears what everybody has to say and then refurbishes it and presents it to every one of them. And then they're like, wow, this is an amazing idea. But he has learned and listened to every single person. He has arranged it, refurbished it, edited it, and then he represents it, and it looks like a fantastic idea. That is what a good leader does. Another important difference, 2 more to go, is that a good leader relies on proven information and intuition in making decisions. On the other side, a bad leader considers ego and reputation in making decisions. When he's about to make a decision, he's thinking, how does this impact on my public image? That's a bad leader. How does this impact on my reputation? What will people say about me? Even when he's making a wrong decision, he could care less. As long as it looks good in front of other people, he's going to do it. And even when something, all right, perhaps may paint him in a bad light, but it's a good decision at the very core of that decision, he will choose not to do it because, you see, it would affect him in a negative way. And so he doesn't consider good judgment, proper information, solid intuition in making decisions. He just considers his ego, his reputation, and that is all he considers in making very big decisions that would not just affect him, but that will affect a nation, that would affect a company, that would affect a family. You have to get to a point where, as a good leader, you're not just thinking about your ego and your reputation. Sometimes you have to make some very tough calls where some decision you will make will affect you in a negative sense, in a way, but it will create a legacy for you. We have the amazing stories of the people like Nelson Mandela, who went to 27 years in prison on behalf of the people, just in the fight of the apartheid government that was at that time, ravaging the entire nation of South Africa. And so sometimes it's easier to save your neck, all right? Save your neck, be a cop-out, go the easy route and save yourself, but then you will not be making a good leadership decision. And at other times, you make that decision and then you'll be willing to undergo the consequence of that good decision just for the sake of the people that you lead. And so a good leader considers proven information, data, research, and then added with intuition, because sometimes data is not enough to make a sound decision about the future, especially when you're about to make a decision that affects the future in a very strategic sense. So you have to consider the third sense in that sense. That is, you don't just consider only the things you're seeing, only the data and the research, analytics and all of that. You are also considering that intuition in your heart that says, you know what, go for this. And you have to be bold about it. And so those are the things that a good leader considers before making sound decisions. And the last thing is that a good leader takes responsibility for change, while a bad leader trades blames and only accepts credit. Harry Truman, the 33rd president of the United States of America, you see, once he got into office, the first thing he did was to put a notice on his, on his door. And what that reads was, "This It says the buck stops here. The buck is a metaphorical illustration for blames. You know, it's very important, or it's very easy for people everywhere to trade blames at the leaders and say, this is the reason why we are not where we are supposed to be is because of the president. The reason why we are not where we're supposed to be is because of the minister of finance. The reason why we're not where we're supposed to be is because of the leader here, because of that, because of this. And so Harry Truman understood that, you see, when it comes to leadership, I cannot afford to be trading blames. I can't be saying it is the dispensation before me. I can't be saying it was the past tenor. I can't be saying it was the past president that brought us into this situation, even though that would be an easy way to excuse yourself from the responsibility. But he said, this buck stops with me. You may have passed it to the local government chairman. The local government chairman passes it to the governor passes it to the minister passes it to the president. The president has no other person to pass it to. He has to take full responsibility for whatever is going on. And that is exactly what good leadership does. Even though they are not to be blamed, they take responsibility. And so good leadership takes responsibility. Bad leadership trades blames and only accepts credit. When things that are good are done and everybody is saying, it was the local government chairman that actually did this, the president says, no, I take responsibility for this credit. If I didn't give him the money, he wouldn't have been able to do it. And so when it comes to credit and glory and recognition and all of those appreciation and all of those things, the bad leader shows up and says, I'm the one you should give that credit to. But when it comes to other things that are not as exciting, they say, no, I trade the blame. And those are the very important differences you need to understand about good leadership and bad leadership. And that's why it's important that you are evaluating yourself in the framework that we have just explained. How good have you been in your leadership and how bad? All right, do not be too hard on yourself because we are all learning. And so this is why you're in this class, to learn a lot more about leadership. Stay tuned.